And we are live. Hi, and welcome to MixStream episode 34. Today is Friday, October 22nd, 2021. And if you're watching this right now, please do say hi in the chat. Let me know that you are watching this. Let me know also where you are watching this from, okay? And for those of you who are, maybe watching this on the replay, a warm welcome to you as well, right? Firstly, if you are not yet a subscriber, please do head on down and click down there on the subscribe button. It really be awesome. I really appreciate it a lot. And one more thing as well, there is a live chat that's going on down at the corner. So right, please do say hi and let me know that you're in the chat. Right, so a little bit of a backstory. Let me start of all about our featured artist for this week's episode. Zubira, okay. His artist name, well, his real name is actually Zubir, so we just call him Zubira. Okay, that's his artist name. He is a singer songwriter and a multi instrumentalist, but mainly plays a mean guitar, and he plays a lot in the live music scene, right? With different folks, with different bands as well as his own solo material. So Zubir is a good friend of mine and really old friend. We go way back. In fact, right, Zubir's album, his debut album, which was like Never Before, was one of the first albums that I came on board as a real bona fide producer, as in a real project and a real job lah. Before that, as I was getting on in my career, I started studying in ICOM in 1999. Started doing freelance work, but mainly all just recording work, and I never called myself a producer until maybe about 3 or 4, until I started producing some projects as well. So right, Zubir approached me, somehow he got in touch with me, and entrusted me to become his producer. I was this young kid back then, man. So yeah, this Zubir is one of the my earliest clients, and so going back to way back, almost 20 years, man. Okay, and hey, Ajib is in the chat. Woohoo, Zub! All right, indeed. Unfortunately, Zubir might not be able to join us tonight because I just got a text from him. What happened is that I think he was out having dinner with a family, and his daughter had an allergic reaction to food. Apparently there was maybe peanuts inside the food mix or something like that, and she had to rush the daughter to the clinic to get a shot. But so I contacted Zubir. I told him, hey, take care of your family stuff first. No worries about it. He texted me and said that, okay, we're already taken the anti-inflammatory. Usually it's what, antihistamine or something, right? I'm not a doctor, so he said should be okay. But I told him, hey, no worries, man. Take care of family stuff first. Make sure everyone is okay. Make sure everything is okay, right? We can always chat, and we can always watch this later. Okay, so well, if any one of you know Zubir, all right, send him some love and send him some warm regards to Wela. Well, we'll see maybe if you can join us later. So this is going to be right. It's been a long time since Zubir released his debut album. In fact, it's his only album, and it's come a long time. He has finally decided that he was going to finish up and put out another album soon. More of an EP, but whatever you would call it, EP or album. So I've actually featured one of the earlier songs on an earlier previous episode of MixStream. It was Guru Di Langit, right? So that was a slow, like a folksy ballad number. This one, okay, we're gonna go back to the roots lah, okay, so to speak. We're going to go back to basics. Okay, this is where Zubir really shines. He is a blues and a rocker at heart. So this track is very exemplary of classic Zubira music lah. Okay, right. So let's start. Okay, let's check out the title of the song. This is called Itu Bukan Aku. Right, and this is gonna be a rocking number. I promise you. Okay, so let's start off first by, as usual, let's do the stage right what I call the discovery and framing. This is where we pull together a rough mix to sort of get a big picture of everything. Whenever you start a mix, whenever you get tracks from someone or another artist, whoever sends you tracks and you are a mixing engineer, that's the first thing you do. Pull up the tracks, do all the prep work or whatever editing work that needs to be done, prepare everything, sort everything out, organize everything into the template, and then then only we hit down to the mix. So let's do that. I'll do a little play-by-play and kind of give a commentary of what's happening. So classic rock elements starting up. This classical rock, progressive rock organ, a la Deep Purple. So we have this organ as an intro. The guitar. And drums and bass. Yeah. Straight into the first verse. Keep it short and simple, the intro. This is the pre-chorus. And into the chorus. Second verse. With some backing vocals here. Going to a bridge. And here we go. This is the solo section. And the last chorus. There you have it. That's the rough mix of the song, okay? So this is, I would say this song is straight up rock and roll, okay? There's no fancy arrangement, no fancy stuff, right? It's just straight into the song, right? Short intro, get the message get the message out, get the word out there and then, and right, and over and done with. So it's a pretty short song by most standards. It's like, including the organ intro, that's like about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So it's a pretty short song, which, hey, the song needs only to be as long as it needs to be, okay? And hey, I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see in the chat. And Zubira is in the chat. Hey, he says, hi, I'm here now. Right. Najib says, hello Zub. Okay, right. And how's your daughter, Zubira? I hope everything is good. Okay, that's good to hear, right? After the jab, now dah nak tidur. Okay, that is very, very good to hear. It's a relief to hear that everything is fine and everything is good. Okay, so good to know, right? That everything is right. Everyone's healthy, everyone's safe, and that's good lah. Okay, so let's get started. Let's kick it off. First of all, obviously, I've done a lot of the whatever prep work that's necessary has already been done. So the first thing that we need to do, okay, is to start where we start, okay, right, which is with the kick drum. Now, the first thing I always do on all my mixes is I want to check and make sure that I've got a good gain structure, and I'm getting a good level so that my final mix, the final 2 track, the stereo mix, right, will have sufficient headroom, and at the same time, right, it's neither is going to be clipping the master or neither is it going to be too low in level that we're going to bring up all the noise issues later. Okay, so how do I do that? Very simple. Okay, this is how I use. So this is the technique that I use to gauge how loud, right, my mixes are going to be. Okay, and that's very simple. I use the kick drum as a reference. So there is the original kick, and there is also the sample kick drum, the one that I've used a trigger on, and we'll try and see which one will fit together. Okay, so let's just start off with the live kick first. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me mute this. Okay, it's got quite a bit of a bleed in it, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, it's got a bit of bleed in it. Let me bring the edit file over here. So before I start, let me just very quickly just show you what I'm doing. Right, on almost every track, I am inserting 2 types of plugins here. The first one here, I'll show you. This is the virtual tape machines. This is from Slate Digital. This is a tape machine emulation, and it's followed by, right, also from Slate Digital under the virtual mix rack. This is virtual channel. Okay, so what are these 2 main plugins? Actually, there's a third one as well, which I'll mention in a short while. The main purpose of using these plugins, and putting them in the first insert point of the chain, is that we're trying to emulate the analog signal work path, right? Analog signal flow, right? As if it was recorded on an analog tape machine and then going into a channel of an analog console. So, we can select, they have different emulations here. You got, the SSL 4000, the G and the E series. You got the API, you got Neve consoles, you got the Trident consoles, you got the RCA tube consoles as well. So, right, different flavors, of different analog consoles that are well known. Okay, let's see. All right, Hobby Shock. Hi, Hobby Shock is also in the chat. Hi, terima kasih, man. Welcome. All right, it's gonna join live stream ini. Thank you so much. Okay, right, for supporting. Okay, so let's start with the kick drum. All right, so this is the live kick drum. Let's play again. So what I'm trying to aim for, hopefully you can see it. All right, I'm trying to aim for so that on the master, the kick is going to be peaking at -12 dBFS. Once I do that, everything else I will balance according relative to that level. Okay, right. So I'll know. All right, I'll balance it relative to that level, and once I'm done, I know that my mix, right, will have the appropriate level, right? It will have a good, decent level that later on we send for mastering. It's not going to be an issue. Enough headroom and, above the noise floor. So here we go. Let's pay attention to this. Let's see, my kick is going to be aiming for, I'll aim for a little bit lower. And the reason why is because I have the sample as well, okay, which I'm going to blend in. So let's see how we go. There we go. That's kind of already peaking nicely there at about -12 dBFS. Let me select that. Yeah, -12.7. Okay. So let me deal with the kick drum first, okay? Here we go. We go back to kick drum. Let's just play with it. Okay. Let's try and see. Now, I'm really not too bothered with the bleed that's coming from the kick, but let's just try it and see, okay? Kick the bleed. Let's go for something tight first. Let's see, all right? Ooh, that is really, really good. Okay, this is, right? This is the gate that comes with Slate Digital, and I have to say this is an awesome gate. Okay, because this is actually taken from the Trigger plugin, right? Trigger is the one that's used for sample replacement, but that gate was so good that users were requesting that, hey, can you make a plugin, take the gate from Trigger, right? And make it as a one of the plugin modules inside Virtual Mix Rack. And Slate Digital did exactly that. Okay, not only did they do one which is which is catered for drums, right? They also did one which is like a regular classic gate, but they went beyond that. They also went with a feature called the D-bleed. If you can see this little section where my mouse is hovering over, this is called the D-bleeder. Okay, so what is this D-bleeding? What is this D-bleed do? Okay, again, this is also taken the feature that was taken from the Trigger plugin. Right, so obviously, right, in a live miking situation, you're going to get a lot of bleed from everything else, right? The cymbals are going to be bleeding, right? In the tom mics, you will have cymbals and other instruments bleeding into it. The way to get rid of it in the past was either use gates, right, which is not ideal because sometimes when you when the gates open and close, what happens is that when it opens, suddenly you get a blast of high frequency sound and noise, and it's very, very, doesn't sound good. Like, it's very, you suddenly get a psh kind of a sound that comes along every time the gate opens. Okay, so then there are many other ways as well. Obviously, in a DAW, what you can do is you can always strip silence the thing, or what I do is I don't really strip silence my toms lah. Okay, what I do is, you can see here, right? I kind of just only chop it up, but I don't 100% silence the thing. Okay, I wonder why this is a bit low. Usually I go for about minus 15 dB. Okay, all right. So there's that. Then there are other ways. Another technique used to be using doing some parallel. Yeah, they have to make a duplicate. It's super complicated. You make a duplicate copy of the track, right? And then you use some clever processing and parallel processing to try and get some of the cymbal decay very natural, but at the same time being able to gate it out. Very complicated, a lot of work to do. So instead, right, they came up with this D-bleeder thing. So it has a combination of that technology, okay, right, to enable to de-bleed it. So I'll play it again, so you can sort of listen to how it sounds like. First of all, this is without the gate. Okay, you can hear that. Okay, let's turn on the gate. Instantly, you still hear a little bit of the snare, but that's fine. Okay, that's not a problem. But here's the de-bleeder. This is where it's interesting. Let me turn off the de-bleeder and let's listen to how it sounds. You can hear all the high frequency energy, right? That's leaking through, especially the cymbals. Let's turn on the de-bleeder now. De-bleeder. Amazing, super clean, yet you still have the sustain of the kick drum, the low end, right? But it has just eliminated all the high frequency bleed that's coming from the hi-hat, the cymbals and all that already. So awesome, man. This is super awesome. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now let's do a little bit of okay, well, still keep inside Virtual Mix Rack. Let's go within here. Now I'm going to EQ a little bit. Now I'm going to take out some 200. Alright, that really helps to, clear up all the boxiness. Alright, just scooping out some of the mids. Let's bypass. Alright, see? Pok, pok, pok. The very boxy kind of a sound. So this really helps to clean it up. Very good, okay? Let me try and let's say maybe go with little more of the de-bleeder. Let me just play around with the threshold of this, okay? Let's bring it up a bit. See how high can I get it where it's not going to catch the snare. Okay. Okay, I think I still prefer where it was earlier, because when I brought it up, it seems to kill a little bit of transient, which I don't want lah. We want that transient there, okay? So here we go. So again, set the kick drum so that it peaks at about minus, well, it's now at minus 15, which is good as well, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blend in the sample kick. So listen to the sample kick, solo it, right? So this one's got a bit body to it, all right? Okay, this is taken from SSD5. Okay, but this one I'm going to, okay, we don't need the law of the 200 as well. Okay, you also have this little, that's about 440, you know, that's little boxiness there. And let's blend it in together and see, okay? Let's blend it in. Nice, okay? Nice and solid. Okay, it is peaking at about minus 11.5, okay? It is about minus 11. So maybe I'm gonna just back these guys off by 1 dB each. Okay, by about that. And let's take a look again, okay? Okay, minus 12.4, minus 12.2, right? A little bit here and there, it's fine, okay? So, okay, now, I am not using a lot of compression. I'm not a huge fan of compression on a lot of closed drum mics. And plus, you know, the drums were played really, really well. So that's not really necessary. What I will do, though, is I will put a little limiter or a clipper on it just to catch, right, some of the biggest and loudest peaks. I think there's one coming up here, so let's check it out. Just to catch the, there we go. Yeah, that's just to catch those peaks, the loudest ones lah. Okay, let's go over here, which is the second chorus. Maybe a little bit lower. There you go. Okay, gotta make sure that it's not killing the transient of these. Okay, so it's still there. You still get the punch of it, but without a signal, you know, overshooting lah. Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's really good. Really happy with it. So let's move on to the next thing. Now, after kick, I would usually go with the overheads, right? Usually, technically, you know, traditionally, you know, we always taught, whenever you learn out of mixing school, out of audio school, you usually always kick, snare, hi-hat, toms, then only you put the overheads last. I prefer the other way. I prefer to mix my drums from more of a top-down perspective. So I'm going to start first of all, right, with the overheads. Okay, so with the kick drum, establishing my initial level, I'm going to blend in the overheads. Okay, so here we go. Nice. Okay, so let's check a couple of things first. Let's just solo the overheads. I'm going to invert the polarity on one of the channels just to check, okay? Alright, okay. This is weird, okay? So you can hear that this is very, very out of phase, right? Okay, much better, okay? So whatever the original polarity, that is correct, okay? Always check these things, okay? Okay, but I'm going to go a step further, alright? I'm going to go one step further and actually double check the polarity itself. I'm going to use this plugin. I'll show you. All right. Now, if I recorded the drums in my studio, I was very confident. But if sometimes the tracks were recorded elsewhere, right, I will still do this, all right, this step and double check lah. All right. So what I use is this plugin called InPhase. This is developed by Waves, and this is InPhase Stereo. I'll show you how this works. Okay, you can see that there's two separate channels here, the alpha and the beta, right? You can either channel 1, channel 2, or whatever, left, right, you can also call it that. So since this is stereo, right, the overhead left, overhead right, it's being panned left and right already, so it's going to come up lah. So on the alpha channel, this is going to be the left overhead, and down is going to be right overhead. Super simple plugin to use. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Let's just take maybe, let's say, any portion of the song. Let's just play it. And then what we do, we just capture and let it analyze. Okay, it takes only a few seconds. And what are we doing? Oh, okay. You know what happened? What I just realized, I'm not even routing the audio to the overhead channel. That is why, okay? The reason why also is because this is actually from an older template, so that's why, okay? Mistakes happen even with me, okay? Right. So here we go. Let's do it one more time. Okay, now we're getting audio, okay? Let's capture. All right, okay, good. So it just takes like a couple of seconds and it gives you the analysis, okay, of the two channels, okay? So let's look for a transient, okay? Since we're here, right here in the middle, let's look for it and let's zoom into the waveform so we can look at things closely. So this is a transient, which is probably the snare drum, okay? And immediately we can sort of see a couple of things here, okay? You can see that the waveform for the left and right, they're not exactly the same, right? The one on the right is a little bit ahead. The one on the left is slightly delayed or slightly late compared to the one on the right. Well, it sounds fine. It's totally fine, okay? We don't judge this by our eyes, right? But we judge it by our ears. It sounded fine even without any adjustment. But let's see if we can improve the phase coherency of the overheads even more, okay? Whether it gives us a better result. So, right, let's explore. So what does this tell you first of all, okay? Besides visually, you can see the waveforms. There's another part which I want to draw your attention to, which is down here. This is the correlation meter. So correlation meter here, right? It calculates and it measures, right, the phase and the phase relationships and the phase content. Now there are two things, right? If generally speaking, positive correlation is a good thing, okay? Which means that there is, most of the signal is in phase, right? It's phase coherent. But when you get negative values, okay, all right, that's where you have some, out of phase and phase cancellation happening, right? So I'll show you. If let's say I invert the polarity of one of the channels, poof, see, immediately it goes to minus 0.15, okay, minus 1.5, and you get a negative value here. So let's flip this back again. So good news. We are originally getting a good one, but so let's see whether we can improve on that, okay? So how we can do that? We adjust the delay on this track, or we can actually very simply just drag this also. Okay, let's drag this back and see, okay? So let's see, pay attention to the correlation meter down here, okay? Let's see whether the value increases or does it get worse. Does it get better or does it get worse, okay? Let's check it out. And 0.13, 1.5, 1.3, it's going up and then down and then up again, and it seems to be getting worse, surprisingly. Very, very surprisingly. So, okay, this is the best, 0.15 here. All right. But here also is also at 0.15. So let's try and make a judgment call. Here or here. Okay. Let's adjust this. Okay. See, even though it's not in line, but somehow the phase coherency seems to be the best this way. Let's listen to it. Okay. Okay, all right. So this is good. Let's bypass. Oh, wow. Okay, I don't know about you. Oh, I don't know about you, man, but it's very interesting. Definitely when I pull this over, right? Pull this and delayed this by about 0.36 milliseconds. 0.36 milliseconds is like, how much is that? 1 foot is 1 millisecond. Okay, so satu kaki is 1 millisecond. So 0.36 is about, how many cm is that? Okay, you get, oh, my maths is terrible. So 0.36 would be about 9-10 cm difference. So it's only this, right? So that means the distance between from the overheads to the snare drum, right? One is about 10 cm further away than the other. Okay. Again, it's not wrong. It doesn't sound bad, and we can cover the recording subject of recording I actually covered it in other videos on my channel, which you can check out already. But let's explore this and see. Okay, let's explore this and see. There's another thing also. It is slightly heavier to the right, so maybe I need to compensate that. Okay, now let me try and compensate for that. Because what it ends up now is that the the overhead, the snare seems to be a little bit to the right. So let's just compensate that around this by bringing the level down. Maybe 1 dB might be too much. Just half a dB and see. Okay, just bring it down half a dB. Let me pull up the overhead. Let's go in phase again. So let's try and remember. Okay, so I put this at 0.36 milliseconds. So let me try. Let's zero this back. Okay, and let's try and capture it again. Okay, let's capture. Let's see what the results give us. Okay, still roughly the same, right? Roughly the same value, but let's see now, right? See whether can we get an improve. Wow, okay, this is zoomed in way too in. I can't even see the waveform now. So let's see. Okay, let's try pulling it back now. Let's see whether can we get it to improve or not. Can we get better? Do we get better? Interesting. Very interesting. So you see, it seems to have changed the phase relationship, and weirdly enough, now when I pull it back to this side, this gives the best the best correlation. Now I have to push it forward, advance it by about 0.03 milliseconds. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Well, essentially that means I had to pull, it's like kind of pulling the mic a little bit closer. So interesting. When you adjust even the level, it affects everything. Okay, in mixing, everything affects everything. You change one little detail, just like half a dB of gain on one overhead, and it alters the relationship altogether. So let me just listen to this, because that's important. Okay, listening with the ears. Bypass. Let's go back to the section again. Bypass. Bypass. Okay. I'm trying to decide which one I like better. Which one I like better. Without, it seems slightly wider, but with, it kind of makes the snare a little more solid. So I'm a little bit torn between the two. Okay. So I'm a little torn between the two. So okay, now, so what we'll do, okay, let's just apply this first of all, and we'll see how it goes. Later on, when we get to the end of the mix, I'll switch it up again and see which one sounds better. So this is the value we want to remember here, right? Minus 0.03 milliseconds. Okay, so this is, okay, right, it gives the value here. Yeah, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 cm difference. Okay, in the placing and placement of the overhead mics. So let's switch off the in phase. We're probably not going to need it. Let's go to the overhead right, and okay, let's apply the track delay here. 0.03. Cubase does it here. Maybe your DAW has it somewhere else, somewhere else as well. Oh, one more thing that I noticed. Okay, the overheads are recorded from audience perspective. I'm going to flip it around. I prefer things from a drummer's perspective. So, right, we'll see how this goes. Let's flip this around, and looks like I will rename this overhead left and overhead right. So remember, now it's the left that we have pulled at 0.03. Okay, so cool. Here we go. Okay, let's put a kick drum up. Okay, let's turn this off again. Very, very, very subtle. Okay, right. Let's not spend too much time agonizing over this, because this is just like talking about 1 cm, okay? But it's good to explore, lah, right? I mean, as an audio engineer, these are things that you need to know. There are other situations where you will hear a very dramatic improvement, and it's an exercise to exercise and practice your hearing and your listening skills, trying to listen for the phase relationship between two. When you alter this, when you change this little tiny bit, as little as 0.5 dB makes a huge difference between the two. Okay, so I switched it back over to drummer's perspective. Okay, now let's do a little bit of EQ. I'm gonna roll off some of the bottom, man. I don't need the bottom on the. Okay. Okay, just gonna EQ a little bit. I hear this frequency. It's about 425 hertz. It's probably in the room, That's better. So let me bypass that. You get that little whistling sound going on, right? So that helps to get rid of it and clean it up a little bit. Very nice, okay? Very, very nice. Okay. I feel that I need to just brighten up the overheads a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, and very subtle, this is just gonna be very, very, very mild, and I've been using this quite a lot, the Better Maker EQ. All right, so I'm gonna probably use this for guitars as well. Let's bring it up to about 10K, and let's just brighten up the cymbals a little bit. Okay, it's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. That's like 5 dB. Let's bypass. Oh yeah, okay, that's a lot better. Okay, so just about 5 dB. Let's try and remember that, okay? Same thing, let's go with snare drum next, okay? So same thing, right? My tape and console emulation is there. Let's solo the snare drum. Let's invert the polarity. Let's see. Interesting. Again, very interesting things when I'm inverting the polarity between two. Okay, let me mute the kick first, and maybe you can hear the differences. Okay, so this is original. Okay, right. It's okay. Invert polarity. Now this is thinner. Very, very interesting thing. So this one, when I invert the polarity, right, because of the phase cancellation, some of the bottom end of the snare seems to have been cut. But surprisingly, the top end of the snare seems to come forward. So again, very, very interesting stuff dealing with this recording, okay? Right? Very, very cool. So let me bypass this. Okay, this has got more bottom end. So technically, this is what we refer to as the preferred choice, lah. When I invert polarity, the bottom end goes out, but the upper mids and the highs seem to come forward. Very strange, okay? Right. Okay, now let's go, right? So let's take out some of the bottom first, the extreme bottom. Okay, there's a little bit. At about 600, there's a little bit of ringing there. Okay, right. I am going to... Let's try and bring in the that gate again, okay? So let's go with snare, debled, Let's go with smooth. Not bad. Let's go with tight. Ooh, that's really... I like this. Let's go. Very interesting. Now without the without all the other bleed and taking out the bottom end from this, now inverting the polarity sounds better. So interesting, okay? So very interesting, okay? Okay, very cool. Now it sounds better this way, right? Okay, let's take the FGA, the API again. I want a bit of, let's put the filter on. Let's give me a little bit of 200. Okay, let's crank up the highs a little bit. Okay, let's put 7, about 7K. Nah, 5K is good. Okay, the bypass. Very good, okay. Okay, might need to take out a little bit more of the bottom on the overheads. So let me explore that. Okay, nice. Okay, let's go back again. Snare drum. Okay, right, cool. So the snare in there doesn't feel like it's has got enough body to it, right? It's not enough power to it. So that's why I have the samples here to enhance it. Okay, just to enhance, not to totally replace the performance. So let's blend the snare samples in. I'll start with this one. This is the much better, a lot better. Now I have a second snare sample here. Let me blend this one in. Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. I like this now. All right. So, hey, use drum samples if necessary, man. Drum samples are not cheating, okay? Right, so here we go. So that's kick snare. Let's move on now to hi-hat. Right, immediately it has kind of brought the snare to where I like it. Okay, hi-hat. Okay, you can take out pretty much all the bottom. And as you got this ring here at about 1.5K. Very nice. Okay, let me do this now. So a little bit of that EQ mic, you know, it has made everything, it brought the overheads a little bit more forward, which is good, but probably made it sound a little bit brittle. So what I'm gonna do is, right, use the AOC's E2 de-esser. I actually use this a lot. So there is a setting here. De-essers are not only restricted to de-essing. You can use it for a lot of stuff as well. In this case, I'm using this to soften and to just control a little bit of the top end of the overheads, right? Especially where the cymbal crashes. So let's see. Let's turn this series down. Let's bring a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, so you see when it crashes, right, it will engage a little bit. That's cool. Not much. This is like what, doing like 1.5, 2 dB of a little bit of gain reduction on the highs. That's all it does, just to smoothen things out a little bit. Okay, let's go on with the toms. Okay, let's look for a section where we've got some tom rolls. We've got one here. Do we have one at the back? Okay, there's not many toms going on in this song, right? Which is cool, so we don't need to spend too much time agonizing over it, lah. Okay, so let's start first of all. Right, I'm gonna start by soloing the overheads with the toms. Okay, we're gonna do this same exercise, check for polarity. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna loop the toms. It's gonna sound funny. Okay. Okay, invert polarity. Okay, and then here, and then decide which one sounds better. Which one's got more bottom end. Okay, let's keep it. I prefer it the way that it is originally. Okay, so now we just solo the toms. It'll still be in this looping mode. Okay, so high passed everything above 65, right? So let's take out. It's about 280 hertz. And another one. Switch off. It's about 460 hertz. Okay, just open up the Q a little bit. Very nice. Okay, now just to give it a bit of bottom end, I'm going to use this plugin. It's called Bark of Dog. Okay, Bark of Dog. Okay, so let's set the boost to about 5 and try to dial in the center frequency. Okay, so okay, I'm going to go above and then let's dial it down. I'm going to get to the point where you hear the maximum amount of boost, but when you bring it down, it doesn't get any bigger. About there, 130. Let me verify this and see. Is this where it is? Well, it says about, yeah, it's about 140. Close enough, right? Just a few hertz difference. Okay, now, so let me decide which mode is better. Classic? Passive? Interesting. Ooh, the passive one definitely sounds a lot fatter, so let's go with passive, okay? Okay, alright. Okay. Great. I'm hearing that is coming from the overhead, I think. Oh, it is that frequency just now. It just kind of got emphasized a little bit. So maybe we just need to notch it out a little bit more. So there we go. Okay, that's the first tom. I apologize again if you're listening to the tom going around. If you are, watching this with people around you, you're gonna be wondering, what in the world is going on? Okay. All right. So this is tom 2, the second tom. Let's do the same thing. Let's check polarity. Okay, alright. Okay, right. It's pretty much settled, right? Definitely the original polarity is the best. Take out some of the extreme bottom end. So some of the same frequencies, I think. So this could be more of it's a room thing rather than anything else. So there's one more. That's slightly, that's about 296, slightly under 300 hertz, okay? Alright, same thing. Let me just use Bark of Dog again. Usually I give about 5 dBs boost, and let's look for it. Okay, this is pretty nice. It's about just under 100, I think, right? Yeah, just around that, around 100. So, okay, we're good. That's the first 2 toms done. Now let's look for the floor tom. Okay, let's go to this floor tom section. Okay, you got a long-ish floor tom section. And let's do the same thing, okay? Right? Check, always important, check for your polarity. Bypass. Okay, this is going to be very, very tough because not to say very tough, it's going to be slightly tougher, okay? So the polarity invert, when the polarity is inverted, there's a bit of a scoop on the mid, but that can be a good thing, especially when you're talking about the bigger and the deeper toms. You may want to kind of scoop out a little bit of the low mid. It can be useful in that way. So let's try this and see. Let's go with the polarity inverted. Once again, all right, but saying goes set, but don't forget. So later on, I'll probably just randomly come back and check the polarity and see how it goes, all right? So okay, now let's do a little bit of EQ. Okay, you got quite a lot of harmonics that's going on with the floor tom, okay, because it is, of course, the biggest one. Okay, I'm gonna take out that 140, right, around that region, 150, because it might be a little bit boxy, okay, and then 440 hertz around there. Okay, there's some other higher honkiness going as well. It's about 700 hertz. Okay, let's double check again. What would happen once I have implemented this, right? Let's check again the phase. Very scoop, very scoop. Okay, let's bypass the polarity flip. Very tricky. Okay, let's take out, we might be taking out too much of the 150, so let's take that out. Okay, you're right, cool. So now let's bring some of that bottom end back. Okay, it's gonna need quite a bit of that bottom end back. Okay, so let's do a boost about 5 dB. Okay, let's check passive on the combo. Passive seems to be doing the trick, okay? Okay, hang on, Okay, right, I think 240, 250 seems to be bothers me a little bit more. So I think letting the 150 through is fine. So there we go. All right, pretty happy with what we've got. We've got the toms done. All right, so now, okay, it's sounding a little dry at the moment. Okay, let's remember to just route everything there. Snares or so. Let's make sure the snares all go to the snare group. Hi-hat is going to the drum group. Very good. Alright, so this on all the toms, I'm going to take out a bit of all the 10K. Don't really need all the super high frequencies there. Okay, cool. So now we are kind of lacking the room. But this is where the drum samples can really come in handy, you see. So not only do we have the direct drum samples, the kick and the snare drum samples, we've also got this room sample as well, okay, because that's what comes along with a lot of the drum sample libraries nowadays. So, all right, let's listen to it. Okay, and what's being sent to this, right, is obviously right from the samples, only the kick and the snare. Okay, but here you're getting a room tone out of it. I'm gonna take out some of the bottom end. Okay, a bit of EQ. About 1K. Okay, but what I'm gonna play around with this now is I am going to use Pulsar Smasher. So this is a emulation of 1176 with the all buttons in mode. So what we're gonna do is really crush and compress this room sample, and this is what we're gonna try and derive out of it. Let's put 100% mix first. Let's listen to it. Okay, immediately you can hear it's slightly compressed already. Okay, see the ambience. Let's bypass it. Okay, all right, this is the room. So this one slams down on the transient and brings up all the bottom end, but we want more, okay? We want way more. So let's do this. Let's bring up the input. Okay, let's really crush it all the way. Oh, look at that sound, man. It's distorted, yeah? Okay, let's bypass it. Let's try and match the equal volume, okay? Let's bypass. That's without. This is with. Okay, it's at about minus 2.4. Let's bypass. Okay. Woohoo! Look at that sound, man. Right. This might be a little bit too much, so let's back it off a little bit. At about 70%. Let's try and listen in context. Very interesting. Okay, cool. The compression has also brought up some of this low, mid thingy weirdness going on. Okay, so that woong is it. At about 180. Okay, we can roll off a little bit more. Let's listen to it in context. Okay, let's play with the mix. Yeah, 50%. Just want a little bit of it lah. Okay. And this is almost instantaneous reverb. That's how you can, use a compressor with some drum and some room samples and squash the heck out of it so that you bring out all the sustain and all the room ambience. It's almost sounding that this is like a reverb ready, okay? It functions that way. So I can always just blend in as much as I want, Right, so this is a little bit of this. Yeah, just a little bit of that, okay? Now let's add on a bit of reverb to the drums. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, right, I'm using Reverence, right, and I've already, right, from the previous recording tracking sessions when we were recording this, I already had, the snare plate, which is taken from a Yamaha SPX 990 preset, but let's EQ a little bit of the reverb. Let's take out everything below 200. Let's take out everything above 10K. Right? Okay, right. Let's EQ this. Okay, you're hearing this is only the reverb. Okay, so I'm just going to EQ it. Okay, there's some weirdness at 2.2K. Right. There's some other weirdness as well, but let's just leave it at that first. Let's go and play around with the balance. So I'm actually taking a send from the overhead group, right? So I'm going to take a send from the overhead group. Bypass. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's take the room sample down a little bit, a tiny touch more. Okay, now we're gonna feed in the snare from the reverb from the snare. Okay, right. Let's EQ this a little bit. All right, a bit of rigginess at 1.2K. We're going to get rid of that. And you know what? I feel like I want to send a little bit of the kick drum. Let's try that and see. And the reason why I'm not worried about sending a bit of the kick drum is because remember on the reverb on the reverb EQ, I've already high passed everything above 200, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing there. So drums. Okay, very cool. All right. So what else are we missing? So let me just pull this up first. The drum bus. No, I don't need this. Okay, where is the okay, let's pull this up. All right, so I mentioned earlier that I don't like to use a compression on the individual close mics, but I love to use it on the overall drum bus, and this is what my favorite one for drums is. Okay, let me just start. My starting point is with this particular preset, but it needs to be tweaked lah. Okay, let's tweak this down first. Okay, so let's check out the threshold. Threshold, usually I set at 0, and let's check it out. Oh, instantly, man. Instant bliss. Okay, let's bypass it. Okay, so the biggest thing is the way that the snare was really squashed a little bit. So let's back off the attack a little bit. Okay, that's better. So you still got the power of the compression, but at least it brings back a little bit of the snap. So I bring the attack up to 0.3 milliseconds. Let me just try to bring it up a little bit more and see. Nice, that's nice too. Okay, let's compare. Fastest. Okay, this one really grabs the transient, man. Okay, let's just kind of leave it there first, right? So this is 0.3 milliseconds, right, of attack time. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, the toms feel a little bit wimpy, so let's bring the toms up. That's better. And the toms also need a bit of reverb. Okay, so let's play that section again. All right. Okay. Here we go. A bit more. Nice. Okay, I'm still hearing some. Let me try and detect and see where is it coming from. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's coming from the overhead, so. So it's probably the neighboring frequency. So maybe what I need to do is let's widen the Q on this, okay? Feels a bit better, compare. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that feels a bit better. Right, so same frequency, just widen the Q a little bit because there were some adjacent bands there that seemed were still having a little bit of a ringing over there. And there we go. That's the drums, and that's the drums. Okay, so let's move on to bass. Right, same thing as you can see. Right, have got my tape and console emulation. Let's bring this in. Very low bass, you know. It's like a 5-string. And it's a very interesting sound, right? It probably ran through the DI with a little bit of overdrive on. So very, very cool. Okay, right. Again, I'm not sure whether it was recorded this way or was it exported, right? The files was exported to me with the amp simulation in there. But I feel like we still need to give it a little bit more vibe. So I am going to do what you're not supposed to do. Run it through another amp sim, right? So it's 2 amp sims in one. Let's check it out, okay? So I'm going to use the Ampeg B15, which is the, you know, the B15 flip top. And let's just go just to run this through. Ooh, it seems to be giving it a little bit more, but just running it through it, I hardly did anything. All right, I was just putting in the, compensating the volume. Okay, it needs a bit of brightness. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, let's listen in context. Very interesting. Let's check the 1966 channel. Okay, yeah, one's a bit more scooped than the other. Let's check the other input. Oh, this is the low gain input. Nah, yeah. Prefer the 1964. Very cool, okay? So, right, later on you hear in context with the guitars, it might make a little bit more sense. So let's just solo, all right? The bass is going to a bass group. Let me just show you what I'm going to be employing. So first thing first, right, what I usually do on the bass, this is a Wave C4 multiband. This multiband compressor is only having the low band engaged, right? And here we're talking about, you know, anywhere between 150, 180 and below. The function of this is just to control the real bottom end of the bass, right? The mid, the higher frequencies and all that is all in bypass. You see these 3 bands are all bypass. So this is only taking care of the real bottom end. So let's just play it. Yep, it should be just right, you know. This is just tackling and, you know, gently handling the bottom band. Okay. So the next thing I have in here, let me show you. This is called Surfer EQ Boogie, right? This is the Focusrite. It's actually a light version, which I think if you're a Focusrite user, you can go and download this for free, okay? Right, so this is a very cool plugin by Sound Radix, because what this band, this little green band here does is this is what they call the surf band. It does a very interesting thing. Right, so pay attention to this little green dot. Okay, let me turn off the red ones, and these are just regular, you know, shelf and parametric peaking EQs. So let's see what it does. Let's go back to 1 first. It tracks the fundamental note of the audio signal. So you can see that's really low, man. That's like a low B on a 5-string. Okay, so this is an incredibly powerful tool. It tracks the frequency in real time. What I am using this for is I want to sort of clean up a little bit of the upper harmonics. Okay, so this is the 5th harmonic. Let me just boost it so you can hear. Okay, so that note, those frequency, that range there. Okay, so we're gonna cut that out. Okay, and this immediately cleans up the thing, man. Right, it cleans it up. Right, takes away the honkiness. All right. Very interesting. It's almost like a fuzz bass, man. So we have the fuzz, right, but without all that, you know, the low mid mud lah. So that's really, really cool. And some interesting bass by Zam Lukan. All right, very cool, man. Zam, all right, awesome bass part. Really cool. That low B really shakes, and you know it's a nice low register there. Moving on. Okay, next thing I have, this is the 1176. This is a revision A. Let's go with, okay, usually I have this as a starting point. Okay, let's try and sort of dial this in and ooh. Ooh, that's really nice. Okay, it's really given a little bit of that extra beef to it. Let's pull the attack back. Let's pull the attack. Okay, this seems to allow the. Okay, I'm gonna. I slowed the attack down just to allow the transient to go through a little bit more. Super. Okay, awesome. Okay, so there we go, 1176, but we are not done yet. Okay, next thing I love to do, right, I really love using on this would be Bass Rider. Okay, so Bass Rider is a very cool plugin, which, right, it does what we call, right, gain riding. So imagine you have someone with their finger or their hand on the fader on the track, but being able to respond and anticipate all the volume and level changes ahead of time. So this is different from a compressor. Okay, the treatment, like a compressor signal has to exceed the threshold, then only it applies gain reduction. This one, it looks ahead at the signal and applies whatever, you know, it applies the gain, or it reduces the gain accordingly. All you need to do is sort of set the target, and it will do that automatically by itself. Super easy to use. Then you can see the Bass Rider is doing, so every single note, it is, right, seeing that each note, okay, it's calculating, it's anticipating how much it needs, and then it writes the note in real time. Super cool. Instant, you know, even low end bass. Now, but that's not all. Okay, now that we've kind of got it, the levels even, we want to pull out a little bit more energy out of it. And okay, well, mixing is, you know, all about dynamics and creating energy. So we're gonna do that using MV2. This is also another one by Waves. I love this plugin, man, very much. Use it on so many things, right? Okay, let me solo the bass so it's a little easier to hear. Right, let's crank this up. Okay, you can hear that. Okay, what low level does, it's like a combination of the expansion and also parallel compression. This is going to bring up a lot of the low level stuff, things like the pick attack, the sustain, obviously, you know, anything that's kind of down here, hiding down in the audio. This helps to bring it up lah, right? So increase, you know, immediately there's a little bit more low end. The pluck, right, is also a little bit more defined. Okay, well, of course we need to compensate because there is a little bit of extra gain. Bypass. So it's like, you know, it's good, but this is even more thicker. Alright, there we go. So one last thing I probably want to do, I'll play around with a little bit of EQ on this. again, just to give it a little bit more bite to it. And this one, I will use the FGA, the API. So about 800 hertz. Okay, maybe a bit too much there. Let's go with this 2.5K, okay? Let's check out. Yeah, that helps to bring the definition. Okay, now try to clean up a little bit of the bottom. Yeah, let me take out a little bit of the 200 hertz there. It's awesome, very, very cool, okay? So there we go, right? This really rocking fuzz bass that we've gotten over there. Okay, all right. Let me show you one thing really cool. This track here, right? This track here is labeled, you can see, guitar guide. This was actually a guide track that Zubira recorded, if I'm not mistaken, when they were recording and tracking the drums back at the studio where they did it. And this sound was really, really cool that, you know, I decided to say, hey, we should just use this for the intro, right? Because it already sounds, it's already got that, you know, slightly filtered, you know, lo-fi-ish kind of a sound to it. In fact, right, let's solo this section and you can hear what I mean. It's got that angry sound, man. Okay. Okay, but what I'm gonna do is let's try and make it a little bit more, even more aggressive. So what do we do? Same thing, MV2 again, right? I want to bring up all that that grit out of it. Okay, compensate for volume. Bypass. See, with this, you still hear a little bit of the volume jumps up and down, but when I engage the MV2, it suddenly becomes poof in your face. Okay. Okay, now just a bit of reverb. Okay, right, so it's got a bit of that. Okay, let's go with a slightly wider Q. That's much better, right? Just slightly wider Q to it. Now let's try and play around with it and maybe give it a little bit more lo-fi-ish kind of a vibe, even more. So where are we gonna use that? What are we gonna use for that? Filter? Where is it? Distortion? Isotope trash? No, vinyl. Okay, let's use this. Let's check it out. And let us go to, where is the lo-fi? Oh, okay, lo-fi. Okay, that's maybe a bit too much. This one is really too much too industrial already. Well, so maybe not. Okay, let's go for like 1930. Oh, wow. Interesting. Bypass. Okay, but 1950. See, as we go to the earlier models, a lot of bottom end gets lost. So, I think I need the bottom end though. So let's go with 1970. Well, let's go with 1980, yeah? Just adding a little bit of that grit, but without sacrificing all that bottom, okay? Because that bottom's really good, right? We want that fatness there, okay? Okay, let's bring in the organ. Let's listen to this section. Yeah, okay. The bottom end, we need that bottom end, okay. So there we go. Let's just bring in this keyboard first of all, and this was played by Zubira. This was done by Abang Bell, right? Okay, really really awesome. Okay. Okay, very cool. So now what I'm gonna do, let's give it a bit of the analogish vibe to it again. And once again, I'm going to pull up MV2, man. Such a versatile plugin, right? You can treat it like a normal compressor. This is what a high level compression is for, but the low level compression is where the magic really happens. Anytime you want to add energy to anything, MV2 is great. And it's super simple to use. There's no attack, there's no release control, there's no ratio or anything. It's just amount, how much low level compression, how much high level compression, right? And just output gain to just to trim the output down. That's all we need. Very cool, right? So it's got a bit of the rotary effect. Okay, right. Okay, let's just leave it at that first. We'll need to explore and see the relationship with the guitars. In fact, let me just mute it first, okay? Let's go with guitars next. So same thing, right? Tape and console emulation. So this was recorded here. The guitars were re-recorded here. Most of the guitars were re-recorded here, along with the vocals. So this was done using Zubira Strat into, if I'm not mistaken, it was into Delaney. Right, so it was into Delaney amp. So you're going for the very classic, kind of a British Marshall-ish kind of a sound. So let's mess around. Let's check around first. This is the first track. This is done with a Bayer Dynamic M160 ribbon. Oh, love the sound, man. This is no EQ, by the way. Right, and we have. And this is the ATM 650 on the same amp. Okay. Let's take out some of the bottom end. Okay, let's combine both of them. Okay, this is when it's bypass. Right, so that is the relationship which I kind of like, okay? So this is the balance now, right? So the difference between the two is about 5 dB. Yeah, so the Bayer Dynamic being the main one and the ATM 650 being like just underneath 5 dB softer to fill up the space. So let's check it out. Let's link it together first. All right, let's check it out. All right, balance it and blend it in. Nice. And to be honest, I really love it. There's no EQ on it already. I don't feel like I need to add anything to it. Right. This is again right. try to emphasize the importance of really trying recording, trying to get it right at the source, because the results are always going to be way better than, you know, just putting a clean track or whatever, or just simply dialing it and trying to fix it later in the mix. If you can get the source to be sounding great, okay, I'm not tooting my own horn, of course. I recorded it here, okay. There's absolutely nothing that needs to be added to the guitar, okay. Okay, wait, one more thing. Let me do this. Let me sort of automate the volume on this, because the vinyl is still playing. So we don't want that. All right, so let me just automate this for a second, okay? Let's bring the guitar down, because otherwise I can hear the vinyl happening in the background. Okay, let's just draw the automation in. Very simple lah. Okay. Okay, here we go. Where is it? Okay. Okay, zoom in. And this would be at, just now was minus 15.5 dB. Okay, let's put it up here. And once we are done, 0, totally muted. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Okay, guitar. Very nice. Okay, maybe just a touch of the better maker to, just a touch with the better maker, just to punch the guitars a little bit more. Just give it a little bit more bite. $5K. Yeah, so it's a bit dark. Okay, so maybe I might take out a little bit of the low mid on this. So where shall we go? Okay, let's play with this band. Okay, 1/5 octave. Okay. Okay, let's narrow it down. Okay, so this is 1/5 on an octave. Okay, let me solo this and see, okay? It's easier to hear it. Okay, this is so narrow that it's hard to hear. Okay, let's widen it a little bit. Let me bypass that. Okay, yeah, so it's about there. It's about 220, 230. Bypass. Yep, okay. This just to slightly tuck out that 200 hertz region. Okay, all the snares need to be brightened up a little bit, so let's use the API. Right. Excuse me, I had to mute myself because I needed to cough it out there. So let's put an API, plunk an API on the snare, okay? So now, overall, the snares sound a little dull compared to everything else. So let's go to about 7 kilohertz. Listen in context. Bypass. Yep, that's all it needs. Just a touch, okay? At 7 kilohertz. I need a little bit more reverb now, actually. Didn't I have the reverb on this? Oh, okay, it was on this guy. So, okay, let me change the point of where I want to send the reverb from. I'm going to send it from the snare group instead. So we get in the overall sum of the snare sound that's going to the reverb. Very cool. All right. Now it feels like the kick also needs a little bit of the top end. So let's go to 5K. There we go. Nice. Now, in context with the snare, right, with the bass and the drums, I may need to tweak this. So once again, it's a case of set and don't forget. You know, you may need to go back, or I feel like I need to go back and play around with the attack time of this just to bring this down a little bit. So here we go. Toms maybe need a little bit more reverb. Okay, the reverb seems a little bit excessive now, but we're not done yet. Okay? We got to see how it fits in with the vocal. Okay, you will notice down here, okay, we've got 2 DI tracks. So in fact, all the guitar tracks that are recorded, there is always a DI, and this is always just in case. I can always. It's for safety, obviously. You know, if we're not happy with somehow or other the recorded tone that was from the mics, right, from the actual real amp itself, if we're not happy with it, we have that DI track. We can either reamp, or more often than not, what I would do is I'll run it through the VST amp sim over here. And the one that I've picked is Overloud, the THU by Overloud. This is Slate. It's a special edition from Slate Digital. And this comes obviously with the whole all access bundle. So what is this? This is a Caliper Studio 50 lead. Actually, what is Caliper Studio 50? I also don't know. I forgot what is this model after, right? But it's basically, let's solo this and see. Let's solo this, and yeah, okay, we're soloed, all right? And here we go. So yes. So this is like a slightly overdriven, alright, amp sound. Let's play around with a bit of distort fuzz. Ooh, that's so good. That's so nice, man. Let's try with this distortion. MXR is. Nah, it just makes it distorted. I like with this fuzz, okay? They call it fuzz raise. You know what it is. It's the fuzz face, okay? All right, a bit more treble. Ooh. Yeah, so this one is a little bit more saturated, right? Big thanks to the fuzz face. And going through this cap, a little bit of room reverb. Let's blend it in and see, okay? Let's blend this baby in. And do we have the same thing here? Okay, so this was with the same setting. So let's try it. Very interesting, okay? Let's copy this over. And let's just listen to all the distortion guitars for a second, okay? And should be going here. Let's listen to only the distortion guitars. Again, I'm going to check the phase relationship between the two. Try and invert this. Nah, nope. Okay, now that's very cool. Okay, so this is given a little bit more saturated guitar, like a fuzz tone to it. But let's not go with the same thing. I want to go with something even more, even heavier. Let's go with something high gain. Let's go with a dark rhythm. Loading a new preset. We'll discard. Yes. Okay. And this is this looks like a Mesa Mark II, right? Yeah, this is more of a high gain beast. Okay, so we don't need the treble. We just need we should need a little bit more bass to this, I think. Ooh, that's nice, right? Saturated. Can back off the treble a bit. Might be a bit too dark. And the deep switch is on. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, let's try and listen in context. So, using two different amp tones would give a little bit more dimension to it. It helps to make it a little bit wider as well. So, but let's check it out and see, okay? Ooh, that's nice. See, it's a lot fatter, right? With the addition of the Mark II. This feels tiny in comparison, man. Now, okay, I think I know what we need to do. Let's take out a little bit of the present. Let's bump up the mid. Yeah, let's bump the drive up a little bit more. Maybe it needs more fuzz. Okay, let's keep the tone down. Alright, okay, now let's blend it in. Very nice. Awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. So that's very cool. Okay. So technically, okay, so the amps were with the mic tracks are with Delaney. So I've included one which is with a fuzz face, and another amp sim which is taking a Mesa Mark II. So like really two high gain tones layered underneath the overdriven sound that's coming from the Laney lah, right? AKA Marshall-ish kind of a sound. That's the guitars. Very cool. So now we have these fills, these little lead fills, and we've got the solo at the end. So right, very simple arrangement in this context. But right, what we're gonna jump to next is the vocal. Okay, so vocal is king. So to me, that is more important. All right, so we'll leave all these for later on. Okay, I want to deal and talk about all the main parts first. So let's blend this in. I'll show you what is the vocal chain that I have. Now, the way I treat vocals is I kind of look at it at two different stages. It's not necessarily a clear-cut A and B between the two, but roughly, the first thing I call it the corrective processing stage. What is corrective processing? Now, corrective processing here, like, broadly speaking, it's to remove any kind of issues, any kind of ugliness, any kind of all the warts and the rough edges, right? And to prepare it for the next stage, which is called the creative processing side. Okay, so there's the corrective processing, get rid of all the rough edges, then the creative side. Okay, that's where we add in the effects and a little bit all the EQ and everything. Right, so two different stages. Right, that's my that's what mentally I go through lah. Okay, so let's start with very first thing I'm going to show you. This is TDR Nova. I use this a lot. Right, this is a parallel dynamic EQ, totally available for free. Link right to download all these the plugins that I use, especially MV2, TDR Nova, and some of the plugins are all down right in the description below. So let's solo the vocal. Let's start first of all with the usual culprit. Let's high pass. Let's high pass the things. Okay. Let me sit back and relax a little bit. Okay. I've been back aches a little because I was doing a lot of furniture assembly yesterday, and now I'm feeling it. Okay, here we go. Very nice. Okay, this was recorded here. First of all, let me just turn off all the effects first. Otherwise, it can be real confusing. Just to hear it totally dry. Okay. So pendek akal kena kebebasan. Tolonglah kawan, jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan. Yeah. All right. Okay. Very, very cool. So this was recorded here. All right. The vocals were also recorded here. This was using the Lewitt 440, and it goes into my standard vocal chain. The decking mic pre, I'm not sure whether you can see it. So it starts with the decking mic pre EQ. It goes into a DBX 160, and then into and in series into a 1176. So with vocals, I record it the way I want it to sound. So you're hearing this with already compression on the way in already, okay, and sounds really, really awesome. But during the mix, I will probably add a little bit more. Okay, so let's listen to it. Really doesn't need much. Sounds really good the way it is. Okay, so what we're going to do with TDR Nova, since we are on the corrective stage of things, just to take out some maybe stray resonances here and there. So I hear the first one. Okay, let's deal with this. Let's take this band. Let's narrow the Q. Let's solo the band. So I hear it. It's about 808, 808, 808 bass. Okay. At about roughly 800 lah. Okay. Oh, hello. Why does this not go down? Is my numlock? Okay, now it works. Okay. So that frequency, okay? That, I'll play that. Listen to that. So that little whistling, that frequency there. So a little bit. So let's take out the band solo. So you can treat this like a normal EQ, a regular parametric EQ if you want. But the power of the dynamic EQs is when you engage the dynamic mode. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, okay? So what we do is, right, click this and you engage the dynamic section. Very familiar, you see things like threshold, ratio, attack, release, right? Exactly what you have on a compressor. So I will want to go into, right, you can either do it in split mode, which is every single band will have its individual settings, or go into the wide band mode, and that's what I'm going to do, okay? So wide band, I'm going to use same parameters for every single band, okay? So I go for a ratio of about 3 to 1, fastest attack, right? As soon as the offending frequency comes up, I want it to act, but I also want it to have the fastest release possible. So once it's gone, all right, once that offending frequency, you know, or harsh resonance or whatever is passed, you want the dynamic EQ to let go, to release, right, so to speak, and not do any more attenuation at that point. That is why a dynamic EQ like this is very powerful, because it will only engage and only apply the gain reduction when the specified, you know, when the targeted frequency or range or frequency, the bandwidth or frequency exceeds the threshold. When it doesn't, it leaves it leaves everything neutral, natural, and very, very transparent. Okay, so that's why it's super powerful. So here we go. So I'm going to pull this only when. Oh, tolonglah kawan. Jangan disebarkan. See, only on some words that frequency pops up. That's cool. Okay, now, so there's just a little bit of toughness. Actually, it sounds fine though, but let's just run through the exercise of trying to find that harshness now, okay? It sounds really good. The 440 really suits Zubira's voice a lot, okay? That's what's that? That's 3.7, is it? Let's solo that again. Yeah, at about 3.7. Okay, at about 3.7K. So same thing. Let's engage into the dynamic mode. Right, we go into wideband. See, same settings, right, for all the bands, so I don't need to adjust anything. So let's loop back the chorus again. Okay, this is the chorus section. So you can see that's when TR Nova acts. It only acts when those particular frequencies pop out too much, okay? Super powerful, really, really lovely. Okay, now there is another plugin which I use now. It's a fairly new one which I got. It's called Smooth Operator. But I don't think I need to use it. I don't want to use this for Zubira's vocals. Reason why? Because this one is going to end up polishing the vocals too much. Now, in a pop production, probably I'll use this. But when something rockish like this, you don't want it to be too pristine, you see. So that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use this, okay? And besides, look, hey, you know, Led Zepp and all the bands in the past never use all these kind of plugins, man. All right, they just went with what they have. So let's not use the Smooth Operator. All right, so it is turned off. So same thing. Next thing, virtual tape machine once again. Okay, this should give a little bit more of character and virtual mix track. Okay, so same thing. Also going through virtual channel. But the key difference here this time, I am using the Hollywood Virtual Tube Collection. So this emulates a particular style of preamp, of tube preamp, okay? And although I don't use it on most instrumental tracks, I tend to use this more on the vocal. All right, so this is what I'm gonna apply. All right, so let's listen to it first. Bypass. Engage. Okay, so of course they're slightly louder, right? There's about 1 dB of gain increase, but also there's a lot more bottom end lah, okay? Now, but the interesting thing that I want to put off next, this is actually FG stress, but inside a parallel mode. FG stress here is the model of the empirical lapse distressor. So I'm going to run this. This is going to be a parallel compressed track. Okay, but let's see where, okay? I usually start off at about 50-50. Let's check out and see how it feels, first of all. All right, let's go with the verse.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang.
Oh, it's a lot of energy there, man.
Pendek akal kena kebebasan.
Okay, but that may be a bit too much. I think I need to back off the trim here.
Tolonglah kawan,
Just back it off on the trimmer.
jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan.
Oh, that's so much better, all right? So even though I did record, it sounded great the way I recorded it. But now we're just making it better, man, all right? So, okay, I may back this off again, right? You don't want it to be too pinned down. 50-50 is my starting point. But let's back this down, okay?
Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak 3 suku itu bukan aku.
Yeah, so around there, right? That's roughly around 35%. It's really good, okay? Now, next thing, okay. Sibilance. This is a de-esser, just to take out some of the sibilance.
Aku, kau berangan ke tahap paling gabang.
Okay, not much there.
Tunggu di sana,
There, chorus.
lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak
Just
3
to catch
suku
the
itu
sibil-
bukan aku.
Yeah, just to catch the sibilance. Right, and then the last thing in the correctives chain, this is another compressor. Okay, this is Arcom. This is Waves Renaissance compressor. What this is going to do is, again, very subtle. Okay, all I'm using this is to catch the loudest peaks.
Tunggu di sana,
Okay, let's bring the
lama di
threshold
sini,
down.
tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak 3 suku itu bukan aku. Kau kena bayangan silam.
So it's not even
Hidupmu hampir
never.
kelam.
This rule of this is never to do more than 1 dB of gain reduction. That's all, right? It's never meant to go above and above that. You see, so okay, that's all it does, just to catch the loudest peaks of the vocal, right? So very cool. Let's pull everything together with the track. Let's check it out.
Kebebasan. Tolonglah kawan, jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan. Yeah. Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru,
Okay, the guitars.
tangan dalam saku.
I may just back the guitar down a little bit now. Okay, right, just a tiny touch.
Lagak 3 suku itu bukan aku. Kau berangan ke tahap paling gabang. Kau hanya nampak kuman di seberang. Oh, tolonglah kawan, jangan disebarkan agar fitnah ini tak berpanjangan.
Yeah, so now with the vocal in context, right, that's probably where I need to bring the guitar down a bit, okay? But again, nothing is, the whole mix is still in flux. Not until we put everything together, then only we know what will fit in what context lah.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan. Yeah. Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak 3 suku itu bukan aku.
Very cool. So now we are going to enter into the creative side of things, okay? Creative processing. So once we've kind of dealt with all whatever, the rough edges that we want to take out, we keep some of the rough edges in, of course, right? This is rock and roll after all. Next thing I'm going to do, right? I will show you, but if you've watched my channels, you've seen me do this many times. We're going to do the vocal thickening trick. And what I employ in here, this is a plugin called Waves Doubler. Okay, here you go. Right. So doubler is, as the name implies, it gives you the ability to double track. But let me just set it back to the default settings. That's it. Okay, let's turn off the direct because we don't want the direct. And so this lead vocal is going to be sent to the doubler plugin. All right, so here we go. Let's send this to, okay, it's called chorus in the end. Again, this was from an older template, that's why. So let's listen to how it sounds.
Saranmu hanya bayang-bayang.
Okay, that seems awfully loud. Also, that probably could be because of the old template lah. Okay, let's see, why is it so loud? And that's why it's like 10 dB of pre-gain there. That's why. Let me just deal with all this. Okay, the Carlet is not. Okay, this one also. Let's take out all the Carlet here is like a legacy plugin that was from the old Cubase VSC days, man. It's one of the oldest plugins that they built. Okay, so okay, here we go. I'm going to show you very quickly, but if you want to learn more about how do I do the vocal thickening trick, once again, there's a video on my channel. Please go and check it out. Okay, all right. Just do a search, vocal thickening trick, and the tutorials will pop up there. So here we go. This is how it sounds running through the plugin, right? Wide, very stereo. Okay, exactly what it does. Okay, it can do chorusing effects, it can do doubling effects, yeah, and all that sort. So I'm gonna run this and export this. But one more thing I have to remember, I have to turn off all the master bus processing first. Otherwise, okay, it's gonna come back. When I re-import the track, it will run through the master bus processing again. So okay, make sure that I have the entire lead vocal track done. And what we're going to do is let's select going out of the doubler. And let's name this doubler +3. Okay, let me just quickly show you again. Okay, this +3 here is referring to the amount of detune that we apply to the left and the different voices. Okay, so the first and second voice, right, pan left, pan right. So one is detuned up +3 cents, another one down -3 cents. Okay, and we'll do this incrementally later on, and you will see lah. Okay, so I'm going to run this, and this is a good opportunity, right? If anybody wants to go and grab a glass of water, it's a good time for me to go and run to the washroom as well and kind of refill on my tea there. I'm going to export this, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, all right, don't go anywhere. See you soon. It's done. I think it's done. Hello, folks. Okay. Now, how many of you have? Okay, we're back. We are back. So, there you go. The track is down here, and by the looks of it, I've made a mistake. Okay, why? Because this is a mono track. Okay, now this is supposed to be a stereo track. So let me double check the settings. That's why monodynamic is supposed to be a left right. Okay, so let's do that again one more time. Right, doesn't take much time. Okay. All right. Thank you so much again for watching. Okay, everyone who's tuned in here. Right, we're in the middle of exporting some of the doubler tracks as well. Hey, if you have any questions, I wonder is Zubira still there or not? Because it's past bedtime for a lot of people. But then again, it's the weekend, man. Right. So let's see. We are coming up to how long we are? About 2 hours into the stream, because 20 minutes. All right, we were waiting for people. That's about right. That's about average. Okay. So let's see what else there. Hey, if you are watching this right now, okay, once again, please do subscribe, do like, do share this, right? It will be really helpful to the channel, like, and for the YouTube algorithm as well. It'll be awesome. We're halfway through, okay, the mix for Zubira's track from his upcoming EP, right? Okay, now, okay, there you go. So the first one is done. Let's move on to the second track. So let's point you out. Okay, second track. First one was +3 and -3. Now the second one is gonna go -6 and +6. Now I'm reversing the values, all right, of +6 of the positive and negative values. Okay, the reason we do that is because if I were to keep doing this with and maintain the positive side on one thing, it's going to sound sharp on one side and then flat on the other. This is going to be really weird. So doing this, right, and then exporting, all right, up to 4 tracks of the doubler is going to help balance things out, all right, when we switch the plus minus values around. So this is the second one. Export audio. Okay, Zubir says yes, still around. Okay, thank you so much, man, for hanging, right? Super cool. Let's see, will be okay. We've mixed this one. We have 2, and then we have a total of, let's see, how many songs do we have here that we are mixing. Okay, we got Bise, we got Guru. Guru is done, just need some revisions. Itu Bukan Aku is what we're doing. Okay, and okay, alright. And Manipulasi OCT Terbang. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 songs. 6, right? Yeah. 6 tracks here. So Itu Bukan Aku is going to be the second one, and then, right, the rest of the 4 songs I will be mixing after we finish this lah. Okay. So that's the second one done. Let's go on to the third one. So the third one is going to go to +9. So I'm going on increments of 3 cents, okay? Right? So it's now +9 and -9 for the third one. Let's export. Doubler. +9. Make sure. Stereo. Okay, here we go. Super awesome. By the way, okay, right, if you want to help to support the channel financially, right, you can do so by becoming a patron. You can see actually at the top of the screen there, right, it says there, right, become a patron. And how you do so is to head down to the website www.patreon.com/studio2105. Now, one of the cool things about becoming a patron is that a lot of special perks and benefits. Okay, I won't elaborate too much, because you should go and check it out on the Patreon page to see what the different perks and the benefits and special privileges that patrons get lah. Right, it's all there. But the plus point about this is that, you know, if any one of you who was watching, maybe now live or later on down the line, if you want to contribute and you want to support the featured artist with Zubira tonight, what you do is again, go to the Patreon page. You sign up for it. Okay. There are either monthly Patreon subscriptions, or you can always do a one-off thing as well. So what happened is that 50% of the revenue and the income is gonna go to the featured artist. Okay, so the other 50%, obviously, right? It's gonna go into the support of the channel and creating more content, all the other videos that I put out in live streams and etc. So well, if you do so, please do consider. Okay, right? Check it out. Perks, special benefits are in there for you at the Patreon page. Details are either up there, or you can also find it down in the description below lah. Okay, I'll make sure, I forgot to mention, right? Make sure when you do, if you want to support the featured artist, you want to and support Zubira, right? Do drop a message in via Patreon, where we have an internal messaging system, and indicate and say MixStream34. Okay, you can drop me a message there, MixStream34, which is this episode 34, so that I know that your contribution or your subscription is gonna go right in support of Zubira. Okay, right? Support your local artists. Okay, almost there with this one. And there we go. Okay, let's grab. So we have these double tracks. So these double tracks, okay, are gonna be blended in with the lead vocal, and this is gonna help to thicken it a little bit. Now, there are many ways of doing it. Like my video explains, right? The many other ways of doing it. It's just that in this particular workflow that I'm using Waves Doubler to do it. Okay, so let me just solo these so you can hear how they sound like. Okay, you're gonna sound chorusy. Like phrase, chorus kind of a thing. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to blend this in very subtly. So this is all going to go into the same bus, the lead vocal bus, all right? And we're going to just blend this in, all right? So let's go to, go into the chorus. Now, it's very subtle. Again, it's a rock track, so we don't want it to start sounding very effect-like, or start sounding like a boy band, Okay, you can hear it just very subtle, slightly wider, a little bit more air on the sides, especially, right? Without, very centered, and then with. Let me check this out. What is this? I hear a little bit of this little distortion here. Where is it coming from? That's very curious. Where is that coming from? That's very strange. We don't recall ever hearing that. Okay, let me try and fix this and see. Okay, let me pull up this little. Oh, nope. What did I do? Okay, convert to real copy. Okay, let me just try and process it with a plugin. So this is a new plugin called the Clip. Let me try and check it out. Okay, we're gonna play. No, this probably doesn't work. Let's use another one. Okay, let me try with the D-click. Let me check it out. Tunggu di sana. There you go, right? So that kind of concealed that little weird thing. I don't know where that came from, actually. Right, so I used a little bit of decrackler and a declip to kind of take away that, and then, you know, it's masked a little bit anyway with the music. So back to the double tracks, okay? So let me solo them. We'll just EQ it a little bit. So about 880. So we're gonna take that out. All right. A bit of 4.8K, and then we take away also the very, very top end, okay? All the 10K up and above. Copy the settings over to all the double tracks so they all have the same treatment lah. Don't need all the super top end from all this, right? Okay. Very cool. Okay, so let's move on. We are still in the creative stage. All right. Okay, let's go with the chorus. Now, we've got a lot of compression going on already, but we're going to add a little bit more, okay? And this is, again, another 1176, right? And you were thinking, wow, we were putting to so many compressors. But this one, this particular compressor here, right, is going to be more for the tonal effect rather than really dynamic control, okay? Because creatively, right, compressors are not just purely for controlling level as well, right? Some of them have add a certain color to it, and the way that the compression also adds certain color. So this in particular, the 1176, the revision A, is a lot of character. I love to use it on vocals. Okay, so I'm gonna really slam this. Look at the energy, man. Very nice. Bypass.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah ini tak berpanjangan.
Now this the doubles seem to be a little bit too obvious now. Let me just pull it down, okay? Yeah, that's better. Just to be subtle, right? It's not meant to really hear the effect, right? Okay. So next thing what I'm gonna do is before we do that, okay. Now I have the 1176. I've set that, but I'm gonna go back up here and go to this Poltech EQ here. Now I'm not using this really for EQ purposes, right? This is just more for a little bit of character. Right, just slight EQ a little bit, okay? I'm going to attenuate a little bit of the top end. Okay, and about 3K with the widest bandwidth broad. Yeah?
Oh, tolonglah kawan.
Yeah, just bring up the...
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah ini tak berpanjangan.
Bypass. Very nice, okay? So this is going to be the interaction between these two is very interesting because with the compressor on, now I am driving those frequencies into the compressor. So it is also going to increase the amount of compression slightly, sometimes not slightly, sometimes it will increase quite a lot depending on how much I am boosting here lah. So it really depends. So it again changes the character in a way that it's not how to describe it, right? That just purely doing it with EQ and compression alone doesn't get the same effect, right? I could always do the EQ first and then apply the compression later, but it's very interesting because it's more interesting for me to drive this EQ into the compressor and see how it reacts, right? I really like the way it sounds that way. Okay, so where are we next? Now another de-esser, because we have all that compression going on, it will inadvertently bring up all those sibilances and some of those transients. So a second de-esser is useful lah, right? There you go, right? So just to control a little bit more sibilance. And the next thing, this is our good friend. Well, it's more like the cousin of the bass rider, actually, right? Sibling or whatever you want to call it. So this is vocal rider. So this one is tuned and geared right towards more vocals. So same thing, almost the same, exactly the same user interface. Only thing I want to tweak around is the range, right? So the range is limited to 6 dB, so it doesn't go into wild jumps. Okay, same thing. Let's set a target and aim for it. And you can see the vocal rider active. Bypass. Yeah, some notes get buried, you see. Yeah, right. So that's what vocal rider does. Now, what I'm showing you here is pretty much all the broad strokes. Later on, I still need to make all this fine tune. But vocal rider really helps to, reduce the amount of work, so to speak, okay? Right? So it really helps to control the vocal and let it there, right? And kind of just let it sit in the mix appropriately, but still have a little bit of natural dynamics. Because again, it's not a compressor. It's a vocal rider, so it rides and anticipates the level changes and acts accordingly. Okay, so it doesn't behave like a compressor, even though it does something similar, right? Tonal characteristics are totally different. Okay, so now, still on the creative side of things. Okay, let's add a little bit of. I want to put the vocal as inside a nice sounding room, and I do that with Super Tap.
Tolonglah kawan, jangan disebarkan.
Why is that so loud? Because I know why. Because this is bypassed. It's not engaged, and also have got a pre-gain. Okay, let's do this once again, because this was from an older template. So all these stuff, not calibrated the way that I do with all my other projects lah, okay? Because this was from an older project. There you go, that's much better. So this is Super Tap here is a delay, but I set it to a very, very short and a delay with no feedback, okay? And let's set it to, here we go. No feedback, because it is only a single reflection, pop, pop, and then back to the listener. But a very important thing is the filter, this EQ section. Now, this is a low pass filter, or it basically means all the high frequencies are cut. Everything above 1.5K. So this is going to be a, it's going to make it sound like it was inside. I'm going to place the vocal inside like a nice wooden kind of room.
Tunggu di sana,
You can hear it. Okay, just a little bit, just to give a little bit of that space. Very nice. Okay, next thing. This is going to be a delay. This is a mono delay. Let's set it to 8th notes. And let's check it out, all right? So this one is going to give a front to back. Okay, now this one we kind of have to listen in context with the track, because then only we'll hear, okay? A bit more.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan. Yeah. Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak 3 suku itu bukan aku. Kau berangan ke tahap paling gampang.
Okay, all right. Now, one thing now I probably want to tweak a little bit is, let me just bring the hi-hat a little bit to the middle, all right? And probably bring a little bit back of that bottom. Okay, and let me go back to where the overheads are. Okay, probably this is now sounding a little bit too much. Okay, it's sounding a little bit too pristine, the top end. So okay, just that's better. Okay. All right, cool. Very, very cool. So next thing that we have, okay, so during the choruses, what we did is we recorded triples, right? So triples here meaning you one down the center, you have the main vocal, and you have 2 doubles, okay, a left and a right. So when you're recording, this is a very common production and arrangement technique, lah. Right? When you get into the chorus, you want it to sound bigger, you want it to sound fatter, wider. Easiest way to get the vocal to sound bigger and wider is to double track it, or in this case, triple track it. Okay. Now, if you double track, then when you double it, you pretty much only can do it in mono. But if you do a double left right, then you can spread it out to the left and right. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Okay. So let's just solo this and blend this in. Okay, very simple, not gonna do much. Just gonna take out a little bit, just using EQ. Okay, and about 850 hertz. And about 5K. Let's take out a bit of that 5K. Yep. So this double doesn't need to be too pristine. I prefer it to be a little bit darker, actually. Right? Otherwise, it will start to fight with the main vocal. So we're gonna blend this in. Now the goal is to just make it again. Right? It's a rock track. We're dealing with the idea of a rock singer with the band. Not trying to make it sound like a boy band. There you go. Pretty nice. I like that. Okay. Next thing. What are we gonna do? Okay. Now, this is also another reverb that I am going to add in. Now, this is a plate reverb, and this is going to be set to a very short reverb. Okay, let's bring the pre-delay a little bit further up, so it doesn't smear it. So this is coming out of here, okay, EMT 140. I'm just going to blend this in a little bit, okay? Here we go.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang.
Just to give it more space.
Pendek akal kena kebebasan. Tolonglah kawan.
I may even make this a little bit darker, okay? Let's go to even 8K just to make it darker, and so it's more of a mid-rangey thing.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan.
Yeah, so you see, it's very subtle. It gives space to the vocal, but it's not gonna be bright and spitty. Neither is it gonna be all that low and build up that the reverb can cause you to do so lah, right? And that's because of the high pass and the low pass, right? 300 hertz and everything above 8K. Okay, so it's bandwidth limited. This reverb. Very cool. So now to give it more dimension, once again, this is something I love to do when we get into the chorus, right? So from a mono delay, it's going to go into a stereo delay. So this stereo delay, let me change this. Okay, the mono was on 8th notes, right? So the stereo delay should be quarter notes, and I'm going to put one of these. Oh, let me unlink it first. So it's quarter note, and the other one's going to be quarter dotted. So they're both going to be different values. So it's going to bounce right back and forth differently, okay? What we want to do is, for the quarter note, I'll increase the feedback to about 37%, 38%, usually about 37%. Okay, the reason is because the dotted note delay is going to be, because it's a longer delay, it's going to be, it will end later than the quarter note lah. So it's going to be weird if you have this stereo delay, but it always trails off to the right. You kind of want both sides to trail off at the same time. So that's why, in this case, I increase the feedback of the quarter note delay a little bit more, higher than the dotted quarter. Okay, so let's just see how it sounds in the chorus. All right. You can hear that when I stop it. There you go, right? Obviously, it sounds a lot when I stop the audio, but it's going to sound just right once it's blended in, okay? So let's automate this. Chorus. I may want to bring the double down a little bit more. So, okay, so this is what's going to happen. So stereo delay in the choruses makes the chorus vocal big, nice and wide. And when it comes back to the verse again, back to just mono delays, okay? So same thing, let's automate this so that this is going to kick in here. I want to just add a touch of reverb on this distortion, a little bit, just to give it, right, on the mic tracks, just a bit. Just helps it to, it's almost inaudible. Just helps it to sit together with everything a little bit. Right, there you have it. Okay, now let's move on. BBs. So we did, I think, 2 harmonies. One's a higher and one's a lower. So let's start with the high harmony first. Okay, let's start with the high harmony. Solo it. This is how it sounds. So same thing here. I've run it through the same processing. Now, but obviously with BBs, I don't go so elaborate as the lead vocal. There is here, once again, the distressor, right? The FG stress, the parallel processing. So on every vocal track, I have this parallel processing. I love parallel processing on vocals, okay? Let's take out the top end. We don't need too much of the top end. Okay. So this 1.7K, a little bit there. Let's take it out. And about 3.6, 3.7K. Just a little tiny things lah, alright? Let's copy this over, right? Because this is, once again, this is double tracked. And let's link these two and let's blend this in. So the high BBs. Just a little bit, just subtle, okay? There you go, right? Super simple, subtle. Okay, again, we're not dealing with boy band-ish kind of track, okay? So this is going to be this is the lower harmony, lower voicing. Okay, it's got that same thing, right? Could be many reasons. Either it's probably just the particle frequency where, you know, Zubira's voice resonates at about 850 hertz there. Okay. 3.5. So yeah, you know, every vocalist will have their own characteristic little quirks and intricacies here and there lah, right? So I noticed this even on every single vocal track, you know, that 850 appears. Okay, so here we go. Let's blend in the low part. Let's listen.
Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru, tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu bukan aku.
All right, a cappella. Okay, now, so on the so now we're gonna go on to these are all the BVs are sent into this group and this bus. Just give it overall a little bit of compression. Not too much, just a little bit, 1 or 2 dB. Okay, and this is being sent to the stereo delays. There we go. Okay, this bass, once again, really interesting that it's a low, like a 5 string bass. So what I want to do actually now is I kind of want it to take up a little bit more of that region, you know, 100 plus region, because that's where it feels like there's a little bit of hole there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use R bass, right? And R bass is also, it's called Renaissance bass. What it does, it adds, you know, harmonics, right, to the bass frequency depending on where you dial in the center. And this is okay. But immediately by default, it really sounds really good. But level wise, it's way too loud. Listen in context for it. Okay, I need to dial this in.
Lontar peluru tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku.
Okay, we need to EQ a little bit more.
Lontar peluru tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri itu bukan aku. Lontar peluru.
Okay, yeah, it seems to be filling up that space a little bit more, right? Because now there seems to be a little bit of a gap between the guitars and the bass, because that bass is so low. It's like a five string bass, then low compared with the guitar. So now this kind of helps to link the two together.
Tangan dalam saku, lagak tiga suku itu bukan aku.
Okay, let me see, right? Okay, we probably need to take out a bit more. Yeah, maybe about 120 on the sample kick. That's better. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. The bass does come out a little bit better there.
Hidupku hampir kelam, kau biarkan ia kusam hingga gersang.
Now let's fill it in with the organ. Maybe that's what's missing lah. Okay, let's check it out. Nice.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang, pendek akal kena kebek.
Okay, very cool. So, right, so that helps to fill in a little bit of that as well. But I don't want the organ to be super wide. So let's pan these in slightly. So, right, let's go into the balance panner. Bring these in about 75%. Right, because if everything's wide, it's kind of going into guitar territory.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang.
And a little bit of reverb. Same reverb. Okay, just apply a bit. Just give it a bit of space.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah itu tak berpanjangan. Yeah.
Now, probably a bit more. That's distortion. Okay, let's clean that up. Alright, okay, let's add a bit of the API.
Oh, tolonglah kawan, jangan disebarkan agar fitnah ini tak berpanjangan. Tunggu di sana, lama di sini, tegak berdiri, bukan aku.
Oh, that really helps to bring in the the prog rock side of things, man. That organ, okay, that was kind of what was missing.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang.
All right, so we've got this little fill that happens in the choruses. Let's check it out. This little plucking fill. just go with, let's just listen to one by one, right? This is the ATM 650. Or the... Okay, I think let's just go with the biodynamic. Okay, this part we don't need both.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang. Pendek akal kena.
Okay, very cool. Say so. Right. Right. So, let's bring this up. Let's use MV2 once again. Okay. So useful, this plugin. Okay, let's listen. Yeah, it's brought up all, made it a lot more defined actually.
Tolonglah kawan. Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang. Pendek akal kena kebebasan. Tolonglah kawan.
Okay, now I've switched it over to the right hand side because I know the hi-hat is kind of keeping the time on the left, so I'd rather, you know, have this over on the right so it doesn't fight with the hi-hat. I think a bit of delay won't hurt. And let's plunk and drop in. Yeah, let's plunk and drop in. Let's play with this, okay? The Valhalla Supermassive. This typically usually will give really outrageous outrageous results, but maybe let's see, echoes out of the way. That's better. That's not too bad. Yeah, that gives a bit of interest to it.
Sasaranmu hanya bayang-bayang. Pendek akal kena kebebasan. Tolonglah kawan.
Okay, very subtle part.
Aku, kau berangan ke tahap paling gampang. Kau hanya dapat ku mandi seberang. Oh, tolonglah kawan.
All right, so there we go. Okay.
Jangan disebarkan agar fitnah ini tak berpanjangan.
Okay, right. I'm really loving how the low end now is kind of sitting a lot better, right? Small things, man. Just like taking out that 100 and just taking out that 100 from the sample kick really gave space for the bass to cut through now. Okay, now speaking of which, now a little bit of some little automation moves. Another trick that we can use, very subtle. When you get to the chorus, I am just going to apply a 1 dB boost, a shelving, all right, on the bass, right, or when it kicks into the chorus. Okay, so here we go. Let's apply this. Let's find the right shape for this. This should be low shelf 4. Okay, very subtle. Okay, now that's maybe too subtle. Yes, let's go for 1 because this will. No. Let's go for 4. Okay, so a lot more gentler this way. Okay, so going in the chorus. 2, 1, 2.
Tunggu di sana, lama di sini.
Yeah, so once it kicks into the chorus, now because sometimes, right, you know, in terms of the arrangement, we've already, you know, given a little bit of dynamic build. You know, with the mid-range, there's more vocal, there's more parts in the top end, but sometimes we forget about the bottom, right? So this is where, you know, a little subtle thing you can do lah. All right, a little small, little subtle thing that we can do to just to make the bottom slightly bigger during the choruses. Very subtle 1 dB shelf. Same for the next chord. Okay, here we go. Okay. Same thing. Let's draw this in. This is going to be a 1 dB. So this will go all the way out to the bridge. Okay, and then with this little solo lick. Okay, solo, we don't need it. Then only when the last chorus kicks in. Yeah, okay, when the last chorus kicks in, one last one. So you see, every time the chorus kicks in, you're right, just a 1 dB gentle shelf on the bass. One little trick you can try. And we're almost there, man. So let's go to the solo right now. Let's go to this first solo. Right. Okay, where is this being routed? Did I set up the routing for the solo yet? No, I have not. Okay, let me set it up here because this is on the other screen. You might not see it. Let me set it up there. And let's send all these solos into the solo group. Solo group. There we go. Okay, let me bring this down so that it's also easier. So easier for us to see. Okay, there we go. There it is. So let's check out the solo. Okay, some things that I know first of all need to do. Organ's gonna need to get out of the way here a little bit. Alright, so let's automate that first. In fact, the organ's gonna need a little bit of automation here and there, alright? Okay, right, so once you really kick into the solo, the organ should just kind of... There we go. So about a 5 dB drop. Okay, so we're starting here at about 25, so we get here to about 30. Okay, because immediately, you know, you gotta make way, you gotta make way for something. Not everything has to be audible all the time. So you need to have focus. See, automatically just doing that already gives space to the... Awesome. All right, very, very cool. Let me listen to the on the 160. Okay, this is where MV2 will really, really shine, okay? In really bringing out solos, all right? Again, because it brings out all the detail, the pick attack, the note definition, whatever is all the low level stuff. Okay, here we go. So cool, man. Really, really, really cool sounding. Let me bring this up first. So let me just... Because I think I did this little clip gain thing because didn't do any automation. Okay, very cool, right? So we've got it to a level where it is solid. So now what I'd like to do is, right, this is Acon Multiply. It's like a chorusy doubling kind of a effect plugin as well. But basically what I'm going to do is just to give it a little bit of chorus to it, okay? Just blend this in. Just to give it a bit of wide. Okay, let's take out some of the bottom end. We don't. Okay, and this is gonna be where TDR Nova is again gonna be very, very handy. Or in fact, let me try and use, right, the which you saw earlier, which is the Baby Audio, the smooth operator. So even though most common use is on vocals, you can use it on anything, right? So I'm going to just use this to kind of smoothen out, right, a little bit of that harsh frequency when it comes to single coils especially. So let me solo the frequency. Let's look for it. I apologize if you're listening on the headphones or anything. Okay, now so let's listen. Okay, you can see this little pair here, right? So I have focused the smoothening around, this is 4.2K, right? Then you can see, right, it acts down here. Listen in context and see. So much better. It might be a little bit dull, so let's pull back the focus. Awesome, really, really cool, right? So need to automate this, but we will deal with it in a short while. Okay. That might be a little bit dark. I mean, it's doing a good thing. The smooth operator has really smoothened it out, but it feels like we probably need to brighten it a little bit just to give it a bit of that air back again. And let me try with this, okay? Let me try with Fresh Air. Again, experimenting, man. Fresh Air is another plugin from Slate. Actually, I don't know who it's from. Well, it's marketed under Slate, but this one, what it does, it's not like an EQ. This is actually replicating the Dolby A noise reduction system. Okay, it's something that they used to do a trick where they use the Dolby A to manipulate, to sort of bring a little bit of the high end to it. So it's a very unique thing. Let's try it on guitars. All right. I previously only just used it on vocals. I don't remember vocals and cymbals and some hi-hat stuff. Don't remember using it on guitar. So this could be the first time. Let's try it. So solo. Very interesting. Okay, let's solo it. that's really nice, man. So I think it's doing what I want, right? It's kind of adding the presence without without adding too much of the harshness, which is good. That's what I want from it. Okay, so we want to give it a little bit more space, and to do so, baby audio to the rescue again. This is a nice little delay. Super simple. Let's go with the ping pong mode, and let's check it out. Solo intro. All right, there you go. Yeah, all right. That's good. Okay, let me experiment with where the fresh air should go. Let's push this baby. Okay, let's put this at the very first thing so that it will interact with the smooth operator. Put it after. Let's put it after MB2. So I'm just experimenting with which position would work best. I think putting it just after MB2 seems to give the best result. Yeah, alright, that's cool. I like that. Now, let me just blend this in with a little bit of let's blend it with a little bit of, let me look for, where's the guitar? Okay, over loud, THU slate. Let me try and blend in with something DI here. Let's go for something that's Soldano. Yeah, Soldano, man. Let's check it out. Ooh. This is really nice as well. This might even be more cool. See, let me just experiment. Let's use the DI. I like that. Well, I like that personally. Okay, right. So this one, let's let the amp sim take preeminence over here. Okay, let's go with something high gain lah. Okay, now when we get back into the last chorus, this needs to get out of the way, and so how we are gonna do that is, okay, let me fix these first. Let's bring this back up to unity gain. So, all right, okay, so let's send this slightly to the right. Okay, let's take this to maybe 50. All right, halfway, 50%. Okay, but not only that, I need to bring the volume down. Okay, right, okay. Now, of course, to make this simpler, I could always put this on a different track, but hey, to, keep the session a little bit more neatly organized, right? There's no need to go and chuck everything onto separate tracks. Okay, let's try and I encourage you to try to, treat your DAW like a real tape machine with limited channels. The way you keep your projects a lot more organized that way lah. Okay, now we need to automate this as well. Okay, so this will go to the right also. Same thing. Actually, I could just copy and paste the pan settings, but never mind. Let's be a little bit more hardworking. So this one. So most of these automation things are all the broad strokes. I obviously won't show you. I won't show all the super detailed things because it just takes too long, right? Usually at the end of the stream, right, I give myself an ear break, and then come back to it, either the next day or a couple of hours later, depending on what time it is lah. Well, but we're ending it late on a Friday night, so probably going to do it the next day. So it's all going to be the broad strokes only that you are seeing and you're watching, right? Usually I'll come back, do a little bit more fine tuning, right? A little bit more, all the minute details. We'll do it after this. This gets me to about 80% of the way, all right? The foundation, the rhythm section, the main vocals and everything. At least everything is there lah, okay? So let's check this out again. It feels like to bring up this high harmony just a touch. Very nice. Okay, so let's do the same thing. Let's look for these. This is like a harmonized solo. Oh, this is really nice as well. So this will definitely go to the left. Let's take out all the bottom end. Okay, we don't need all that bottom end. Very cool delay. Where's that little sound? That doesn't bother me too much. Okay, let me just try and trim it back lah. Let's see how it sounds. If I trim it back. Yeah, let's see. There you go. Yeah. Whew, look at that. It's a nice build up over there. Yeah, okay. And hey, who's that joining in, man? Zachariah. Hey, Zach. Hadir lambat katanya. Ini betul-betul lambat. Whoa. Right. Good morning, man. It is already 12:30. How are you doing? Thanks for joining the stream, even though at this time. Hope you're doing fine, man. Zubira mentioned there's another guitar track towards the end on tremolos and double stop. Yeah, this should be it, right? These are the tremolo. Yeah, and these are all the doubles. Yeah, those double, those double bends there, right? Again, at this section, right, I need to play around a little bit with it, okay? A little bit of automation. So that's pretty much it, actually. All right. One last thing, final thing to do. Let me just tweak a little bit on the master bus. All right, let me just play around here. Okay, I'm going to just bring this C4 this wave C4 is a multi-band. I'm just going to bring this down so this just gently massages the... Okay, you can just see it dancing ever so slightly. That's very cool. All right. So now let's move on to my virtual bus compressors. Let me just... Let's go to this chorus. Back to the chorus. Now it feels that now with all that, it feels like the kick, it's even more copper. Very nice. Okay, cool. Very happy with that. Two more things, right? Just some secret ingredients to put in. Well, not really secret anyway. If you watch all the live streams, you know what you should like. I love putting iron. Okay, this is the SPL iron, and this is gonna be going into MS mode, and a very subtle thing, right? So it's gonna do an MS processing, right? It's a compressor, but in MS mode. So it's gonna be, right, treating the mids and the sides separately. Okay. Right. Are we done already? Yes, yeah, it's there. Okay. Hi, Zach. Hi, Zubir. Mantap. Okay, yeah. Zach is one of the patrons as well. Big shout out to you, right? And also very regular. He always comes on the live streams, man. Right, so let's bring this down and let's do a little bit of a tape roll off, okay? So it's got a mode here, whether you have an air bass, which gives you a smiley curve EQ, or bypass, which is flat, okay, or tape roll off, which is what I like. It gives a little bit of a gentle roll off at the top, okay? Okay. this is very subtle. This is, it's barely moving the needle at all. But that's the beauty of this. This is all gonna be super subtle applications to it. See? Next one, API 560. This one is a trick which I learned from another mastering engineer. He inserts this. This really helps to solidify the center, especially. There's nothing to it. Just running the signal through it. No EQ at all. No boosts or cuts anywhere. Just inserting it into the signal chain, right? Automatically makes it sound better, right? Okay. Okay, the snare is needs a bit more bite. Okay, and maybe something with the reverb. There you go. It's about... Let's take out a bit of that on the reverb, the 4.2K. Again, so let's play it now with the attack time. Let's bring it down to the fastest. Yeah, somehow that's, we started off that way, but now bringing it back to 0.03, the fastest attack time, seems to do the trick better. Okay, a little bit more bite to the kick. Listening? That's better, okay. And on this kick sample, one more thing. I'm still hearing the... Okay, nothing. Yeah, this one, the 180 hertz still needs to be taken out lah. Oh, so much better that way, man. So much better. Okay? Yeah. It's a set and don't forget. Sometimes you need to go back and find certain things, right? Which they don't seem to be a problem early on, but later on in the stage, it can become a, it will rear its head once you start piling on the other tracks. See? Once you start piling on the guitars, the vocals, then you find that, there's a build up on this range of frequencies. Then you need to figure out where, and where is, in which part, which track is contributing to all that. Okay, I think the drums, I need to just drop in a little bit of another EQ here. And I will use the 560 graphic EQ, right? Seldom, I don't use this often on the drums actually. So I feel like I want to just drop out some of these frequencies here. Let me just hunt for it for a while, okay? Just a little cut there at about 200. Let's bring up a little bit of that 60. Okay, very cool. Okay. Last but not least, Zach says, sedapnya, penuh energy. Well, welcome right to Zubira, man. Yeah, this is Zubira's music, right? Rock and roll. So, one last thing, again, to give the extra boost, right? The extra drive and kick to the choruses. Very simple trick, right? And you guess it, right? This is going to be the automation of the master fader. So this is a very simple thing. Whenever the song kicks into the chorus, I'll bump up the master fader 1 dB. That's all, right? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, okay? So just that 2 bars running up into the chorus, right? We very subtly ramp up the master. Okay. Right. Thanks for joining in, man. Zach, even though it's so late, all right? Appreciate it, man. How you doing? Hope you're doing fine, man. Okay, so coming out the chorus, right? We write it back down. 2. Okay, right. So this is going to be a shorter one. Okay, so this one is only like 2 beats actually, right? So at the very tail end. Now, some people will do 1.5 dB, but when I do 1.5 dB, to me it sounds too obvious. It sounds too obvious that someone turned up the volume. So 1 dB is nice and subtle lah, okay? Actually, am I correct? This is right spot. Okay, right. So, okay, one thing about this recording was I don't think they really followed the click very tightly, so okay, let me look for the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, alright, so this is correct. Okay, some parts it was rushed and some parts it was lagged. But when you turn off the click, you don't listen to it, that just corresponds to, wow, Sunny, you know, it's like got energy. There you go. So it's like you know, there gets to a part where 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4. Yeah, okay, so this is correct. Yep, this should be right. This should be right. Okay. Okay, let's go into the second chorus. Okay. Okay, so at bar 65. Yeah, so it's kind of the same spot. Okay, right. So this bridge we should just keep it there. Okay, then it should only kick out during the this just before it goes into solo. Hang on, let me figure out where should this go. Okay, because I have to decide where it's going to be sound most musical. Okay, just before. Okay, right, just before the. Yeah, if you listen to this with the click, you find that it's quite off. But without, it sounds like these guys played live, man. Now going back to the final chorus, let's find where it is. Okay, Right, very cool. So this going into last chorus, this will be just a one bar ramp up. So there you go. Sync it with this kick, and there you have it. Awesome. Now, obviously, at the very end, you don't need this because it just goes all the way. So, see, every time it kicks into the chorus, 1 dB up, down again, second verse, next chorus, 1 dB up, down again in the solo, and then 1 dB up for the final chorus. So, there you have it, man. Awesome. Very cool. Now, as I said again, these are mostly the broad strokes. There's still all the fine tuning. Maybe not much. It's usually at this time round, you know, when we are like 3-4 hours into a mix. This is probably a good time to let the ears take a rest. You know, go and take an ear break. I'll come back to this again, you know, the next morning, do some tweaks, and then when it's ready, I'll send it off to Zubira, you know, and then we do a little bit of back and forth. You know, we might do listening sessions either remotely nowadays, or you know, we might even arrange time to come to the studio. But it's pretty much there. Okay, so super cool. This is an awesome, simple, straight up rock and roll track. And you know, God, we need a little bit of rock and roll in our life. Okay, super cool. So there you have it. This is, I would consider, the first draft, or nearly almost the first draft of the mix for Itu Bukan Aku. This is going to be a track that's coming up from Zubira's upcoming EP. Okay, so if you want to find out more, go and follow Zubira's social media accounts are all down in the description below. Stay tuned, right, for news. I'm sure I will post it. Zubira also post it, right, when the EP is gonna be out, right. One of the songs is already done. That's actually featured on an earlier episode, right, of MixStream. Go check it out as well. And see, I'm getting some mixed notes already from Zubira. Can up a bit that short bass solo before the guitar solo. Yeah, I know what you mean. That little bass lick, right, that goes up there. We'll see how it goes. Let's we'll leave it there for a second. Like I said, all the fine tuning details, I will still do it later. Okay, very cool. Okay, let's see what else. Did I miss out anything? No, I think, you know, do I forget anything? What else of information? Yeah, pretty much it. Let's take a listen one last time. You know, sometimes some other things will always pop up at some other time a bit. I'll take that note into I'll take the note into consideration. Okay, don't forget, cut up a bit the short bass solo before the guitar. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool bass part anyway, by the way. But what I'm going to do also is I want to change my frame of reference a little bit. I'm going to be listening. Obviously, you guys can't hear, but I'm going to switch it over to my smaller NS10s and listen to how it goes over here. So, but let's take a listen to the song. All right. Oh, NS10s are on already. I'm going to turn down my big speakers, and we're going to listen on the NS10s. All right, so here you go. This is the first draft of the song. All right, Itu Bukan Aku by Zubira. So check it out, right? And stay safe, stay happy. Hope all of you are good. Okay, let's listen to it. Prog rock, organ. From the top, right? That's Malaysia's John Myung punya notes. Very cool, yeah. Right, I'll definitely put it up, right? See, a little bit of automation to fade out that organ a little bit. Okay, on the NS10s, the snare sounds very upfront to me. I'm going to turn the snare down by about 2 dB. So with a totally different frame of reference, I hear it differently, you see. just bump up the vocal by about half maybe. Okay, yeah. So a bit of automation on the main rhythm distortion guitars. Right? Just changing, listening to the small speakers gives me different perspective. I need to automate so the verses, the guitars go down by about a dB, then chorus right back up. Awesome. When you're the bridge, post-chorus, whatever you may call it. Yeah. I'll bring that bass up definitely. Even the guitar here may need to just drop down by a little bit more. Did I do that? No. Yeah. So the main rhythm guitars are a bit of automation. Half dB, 1 dB increments. There you go, right? It's awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around and hanging around the this episode of MixStream. Really appreciate it. We're gonna call it a night, right? Appreciate you all for watching this. Whether you're watching it live right now in the chat, right? Zubir is there, Ajib is there, Zach is there as well. You guys are awesome. A couple of other people are watching, but they're kind of maybe just watching and not interacting in the chat. Yeah. Kick drum sound shut up. Right. Awesome, man. Yeah. Had to play around though to sort of get into that. Thanks, Ajib. Hey, if you found this video informative, if you found it useful, hopefully please do leave a like on it, right? Do share it if you want to. Any friends you know who are into this sort of thing, this little niche thing that I do call mixing and recording. All right. And remember also, if you're not a subscriber yet, please do head on down and subscribe. Okay, right. Thank you to Zubir for letting me feature this song. Once again, check out Zubir's social media down in the description below. Ajib Zachariah, thank you for the support. Okay, right? And all the best. Zubir says, thanks, JD. Good job. Tomorrow we're doing the video shoot. Awesome, man. Okay, all right. Have a good video shoot. All right. And Zach says, cannot find the chat box, maybe. Maybe, who knows? Okay, all right. Sometimes depending on where you are on the mobile device, it's a little bit hard to see, right? But that little live chat thing is there. It's happening there. Good night, folks. Right? See you again in another episode. Stay safe. Happy recording and mixing. Peace, love, and music. Good night, folks. And let me turn off. Yeah. Let's let the music take us out.